Yesterday, I recorded a video talking about how I was not really sure what to do next because I did not know the boundaries of what would be the scope of my game for even my visual prototype. And I said I needed a plan. And I wanted to come back today and say I have a plan now. It's not everything, but I think it's good enough to get me back moving in the right direction. So I want to share what that is. I have been working on the environment for my visual prototype for a bit over a week now. I think it's been. And it's at a state where I'm having a hard time seeing the benefit of the tweaks that I'm doing. And it's kind of just feeling like endless work to make these fine adjustments. And there's more things that I think it would be cool to do for the project, but they're not like have-to-dos anymore. So I decided that what I'm going to do instead of continuing to tinker and tune and start making serious firm plans to know which direction to carry out the environment, instead what I'm going to do is work on some other aspects of the game that visually aren't there yet and just work on those and learn and improve as I do on the technology required for that. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is working on my character. I have a blank humanoid that I got from just like an asset store. She has a UV mapping for clothing, but the idea was that was just going to be like underclothing to be like, okay, so she has maybe long johns on, and then she's wearing a dress over it or something. I don't know. But so that's like the underclothes is sorted, but giving her overclothes, giving her a face. She doesn't have a face yet. Giving her hair. I've been learning how to do hair, so continuing to work on that. And then also working on animations. I looked into it a bit more after I had said, I feel like it's a complex thing to add the animations. I looked into it a bit more specifically for Godot because I thought I knew how to do it from my experience working with Unity, but turns out I was just kind of doing it wrong. So once I figured out how I'm supposed to do it, now I'm like, okay, I can do that. So working on that, setting up the anchor points of the inverse kinematics for animation to be like pulling her down to a seat, pulling each foot down completely to the ground when she's trying to take a step instead of just, down to a designated height would be interesting. And doing more procedural animation in that regard will be very cool. I'm very excited to explore that, and I saw some really awesome tutorials yesterday on how to do that. So probably just defining, okay, she needs to be able to walk around, do like a sitting down, standing up, maybe transition from a walking to a running, and turn instead of her like sprite or her mesh just rotating in space. She needs to like actually look like she's walking and turning. And then a few other things like opening a door would be good. Maybe sitting at a table and eating something with a fork would be nice. Or just like eating something without a fork, just like, like, can she do that? Currently, no. Not in this version of the mesh and the skeleton. So setting up animations like that and the transition between them and making a more sophisticated animation tree will be really good. So, and then also making a male counterpart. My plan was always for this game to be one character, and that was going to be a female protagonist. But I realized if I want to have NPCs in the background, which now I'm leaning towards I absolutely do, I need to have like a variety of body types and, gender, not just a town full of women. So setting up a male with the exact same animation set should be just the same skeleton. Giving him some clothes and some hairs as well. And then I will move on from there. I have some work to do on the actual building system, figuring out some details of how it's going to work if the house is already built and you're just furnishing it, which I think is more realistic and could, because of the limitation, there's opportunities for much better visuals. I feel like it's probably boring to go into it too much, but it has to do with how the light comes through, and if it's a dynamically placed wall, it doesn't work quite as well, it doesn't look quite as nice, so could be good to have it like firmly placed beforehand. So figuring that out, I think that's easily gonna take me like a month or two between like all the character stuff and then this house building setup. So I'm gonna do that. I feel very motivated to do that, and I'll worry more about like tweaking the environment more after, because like the things I'm talking about now, these are core aspects of the game that I would love to be able to show and feel proud of and confident, and it would really rebuild my enthusiasm for the game. So that's gonna be my plan of action for the near term. I also did some work just mapping out like what are the scope of some interactions, what are the like abilities of the character in the game, and like I was thinking it would be interesting if the character could leave her property and go into the town below and walk around the island. And I was thinking that maybe every single plot, every single property, every single little house would become like, when you get to it, you'd like be able to lower the walls and see inside, and it'd be like a fully furnished thing you could interact with. I've changed my mind. I'm not gonna do that, like absolutely not. Instead, I'm thinking the buildings, some of them will be public buildings, so it'd be like a cafe and a grocery store and stuff, and those ones will be clearly labeled, and those ones, if you click on it, you can send her there, and then you'll get like a user interface for doing shopping or ordering from a menu something for lunch, whatever. But it's not going to be something that you can like touch everything inside. It'll be like a rabbit hole interaction to go and do her shopping and stuff, go to the post office. And the reason for doing that is really just because I want to have some restriction in what my game includes so that it's completable in this lifetime, and also because it helps me plan. And to me, thinking about myself playing the game, I felt like the difference between going down there and actually like seeing every little thing versus just sending her to a black box where she handles whatever she needs to, I didn't really care for the difference. And if we can't actually interact with things down in the town, then maybe the camera doesn't need to follow her there, which would just overall enhance the visuals of the game if it doesn't have to have hyper detail and can just be like something in the distance that's more like a UI where you click on a building far away and then say, go interact with it, and then she runs down there and you just like watch from a distance, and then she comes out and she comes home, and that's it. So that's what I'm thinking. That's the direction for my work for moving forward. I was thinking it would be nice if I planned the project a bit more with a scope. I'm thinking a 1-year project would be reasonable, but at this point, just visual prototyping. And you know, if the visual prototype doesn't really hit, then I feel like I'm learning a lot of really good skills, and I'll take those in my next game. So anyway, that's my thoughts, that's where I'm at, and I'll talk to you next time. Don't forget to like the video if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more from this channel, and I'll see you next time.